sound is, but then also as you become more connected with the instrument and it becomes more of an emotional connection, then you're much more aware of what these pieces of gear can do to either inspire or get in the way, you know? And so again, never would I have thought, at any point in my life, I would be in a situation where I would have these genius gear people that are happy to work with me. No, it's insane. I don't say that lightly. I'm just like, I just kind of shake my head and go, this is incredible. But what an honor. And it is just kind of, it's a testament to just keep showing up, keep doing it. Mm-hmm. Again, this is a full circle moment in the interview where there wasn't a plan for this. I couldn't have imagined this. I love this. That's why the three of us are sitting here talking, and anybody who's watching or listening, this is something we have in our life that not everybody has. Some people, may have some hobbies or whatever, but the level of passion that we know we have for music in general, the guitar specifically, and the gear that it takes to get these sounds that we love, come on, man. This is, it's a gift that, none of us should take for granted and take lightly. It's really, really special, and when it comes to the gear and the pedals, of course we're going to go, what's that guy using? Or what's she using? How'd she get, whatever the tone might be, because we just know that pedal's going to help us get closer, and it absolutely can. But there's the time involved, there's the development of the technique, and your ear getting to the point of knowing how to draw these sounds out of your guitar. Your physiology is going to be different than mine, different than Jeff's, different from Alan Holdsworth's. The way we touch a string, so you start to make that connection between the physicality of this thing not plugged in. What is it? What is that tone like? And then how can I get that to come through, through the speakers, right? That's the challenge, right? But the pursuit it's frustrating. It's beautiful. And when you get those moments of beauty where you get stuck for 20 minutes, Brian, because you're having a good time, that's it, man. That's, what's better than that? I can't think of much,
Yeah.
Well, a couple things, but warm coffee, a loving family. Talking about my guitar playing son, he made Valentine's dinner for his girlfriend and my wife and I last night. So these are good times. These are good times. That's good times. Pretty good. He made the best mac and cheese I've ever had. Now I'm a Kraft guy, because milk powder is cheese, right? Totally. I'm true Midwest American, but he made this with pepper jack and this great kind of, I don't know,
it was my mouth water.
Homemade, and he had these Wagyu strip steak things he made. God, it was he's getting great at guitar, but even better at cooking. Look out, folks.
Yes.
Alex Timmons. Yeah. Anyway, all these things, but the pursuit of tone and music and expression and what that can do for our spirit. We need this, now more than ever, Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. And before we do our last set of sponsors, I just have to say, I appreciate the fact that you have learned how I want to say it. You want to know how your tone sounds even before it's plugged in. Turning your volume down and playing it just an electric guitar bare, it still sounds like you. That's the thing.
For sure.
It's your tone. So I appreciate the fact that you take that in account for before the pedals. You could sit around a campfire with that Ibanez guitar unplugged and it would still sound like you. It's you.
In a leprechaun suit, in a leprechaun outfit.
In a leprechaun suit, Paul McCartney.
Now
that sounds like an episode.
I'm picturing me in a flammable leprechaun outfit. That's the next album cover. Yeah. Electric leprechaun.
We'll just somehow convince Paul McCartney to do that, and then we will all get together. We will all fly together, and we'll sit around a campfire in leprechaun suits, having a podcast, playing unplugged guitars.
Yeah. Come on, baby, light my fire. Come on, Well, I'm not encouraging anybody lighting their leprechaun out. Let me disclaimer: I'm not encouraging that this is a good idea to light leprechaun suits on fire. Okay, I'm hoping you don't. I'm hoping you don't have one. I'm really hoping you don't. But if you do, please don't ignite.
Yeah. No, we got a plethora of Spider-Man costumes for my son at home, but that's about it.
Bet. So did you spend more time at NAMM or Disneyland? Tell the truth.
That's a little bit of both.
All right. Well, see, these are good things. All right.
Well, speaking of Disneyland, which is also a joyful place, these last 3 sponsors are also bringing a lot of joy in the music industry, and they just help get you where you're going from A to Z or whatever you're doing. If you're an at-home player, if you're traveling or whatever, are the guys over at Mono Creators. Mono Creators have amazing gig bags, dual cases for you bring in your 2 favorite guitars or bring in double Ibanez, Andy Timmons signature guitars.
I have a mono bag at least. I do. Yeah,
they're great. Yeah, I mean, mono may be a single thing, but you can have multiples of them, and I do because I have backpacks and pedal boards and cases, and they also have brand new power supplies. They've released a new updated angled style pedal board. Go check them out. Really affordable. Use the discount code Chairmen CHAIRMEN for 10% off at monocreators.com. Next are going to be the guys over at String Joy. We, as musicians, need strings.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you don't play without strings, then
it's air guitar.
It's for sure an air guitar. It's just a heavy air guitar. So go to stringjoy.com. Use the code BOARDS for 10% off. They are subscription based. So depending on how many strings you use, if you're a string destroyer, as Mason says for himself, where he goes through multiple packs of strings, sometimes in a week, you can get multiple strings ordered in. If you're not close to a local guitar shop, they can send you what you need for your month. Get you going on acoustic. I think it's acoustic or electric or bass strings. They have all the different string options, different types of coat. Check them out, stringjoy.com. The last of our sponsors are definitely some of the best guys out there. Pun intended, are the guys over at Bestronix or btpa.com. They and Brad, we came up with a slogan last week, and now I wish I could remember the slogan. It was really good. Best part of waking up is talking to I can't remember what it was. That's Folgers. But
go back to last week.
Go back to last week.
There's probably recorded evidence that you could reference. Yeah,
I did. I'll remember for next time because it was so good. But the guys over at Bestronix simply are the best. Always pun intended because. But they have all these square plug connectors, Mogami cabling, looms, junction boxes. They do all sorts of stuff. They supply the 2.1 millimeter DC connectors that we all use for all of our builds, and they're great. They're fast communicating. When I get an email from Bestronix that my shipment is on the way, it's great. So check them out at btpa.com. Use the code DACHAIRS, DACHAIRS, for 10% off of your order. Well, I would say to kind of summarize the episode, I do have a funny. It's funny and also like I wish I could go back set a story. You know, like you ever have those times like, man, if you could go back and do one thing, what could you do differently in life?
Right.
So I've been here at the sanctuary for 6 years. I just had my anniversary last month, and I think it was my first year here. I built you a board, Andy.
Yes.
And I brought it to your house, and it was like one of the first times I had brought it to your house. And I was like, I didn't know he was so close. And my wife and my daughter, because I only had them at the time, they flew out of town. So I delivered the board, and we were just talking, and you're like, so what are you doing tonight? And I was like, oh, it's been a long week. The family's gone. I'm probably just gonna like go see a movie and just relax, because to me, like, movies by myself is like my favorite relax. And you're like, well, we're gonna grill up some steaks and we're gonna drink some beer if you want to stay. And I said, that's such a kind offer, but I think I was just so tired. I was just like, I think I'm just gonna go to the movies. And I left.
Man,
and
that's all good, man.
I told my coworker, Trey. I told Trey. And he looks at me, he goes, "Dear God, what did you do?" And I was like, "What?" He goes, "When you get that offer, you do it." So
it's because you said beer instead of triple filtered water.
If you had
that's what it was. Filtered water, you would have been
I don't remember the beer part.
or something. Anyway. It was steaks and something. I can't remember. It was years ago. But I just remember being like, "Oh, okay." Yeah. And I was just like, and I even said, I was like, and anytime somebody's like, "You go back to 1 year," I'm like, 5 years ago. So I just always think
let's rectify that. But I'm gonna let Alex cook dinner. He did such a good job. Yes. We'll get you over for some of that mac and cheese. I'll get him to make that again. That would be good.
Let's do it.
Well, we'll just do filtered water. I don't need any beer either. But yeah, we'll do. We'll do
I don't know if it was beer. I can't remember. But I know it was steaks, and I was just like, whatever.
Who knows?
Me, dumb year. That was me.
No, dude. Isn't that funny how things like that can stick out in your mind? And for me, it was like, oh man, I totally get where you're at. Because raising a son, and like sometimes it's nice just to have a quiet house or whatever. It
is.
It is hard to say no to when The Holiday is showing in theaters as well. So let's give Brian a little bit.
Fair enough.
It was. Yeah, it was Twilight. They were doing a replay of that movie. It was all right. I had
no judgment. Judge-free zone here, man.
Well, the finish of the episode. Grant, do you have any final questions before we throw it to Andy to serenade us with one of his wonderful songs?
I have a question for you.
I'm going to do my version of Freebird if that's cool. It's 11 minutes though. I hope you guys are cool with that.
No, I usually go for the 15-minute version, but yeah, that's
fine. I can,
my question, this is pedalboard related.
Yeah.
As a general practice, how important is signal chain to you with your pedals?
Oh, it's tantamount. I mean, sure. Order is very important. If that's the question.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a gain junkie, and there's just the pedal board is large because it's a series of ascending gain levels. The beauty of the G3 is being able to swap that order. Talking about the gig rig switcher that I use, my incredibly talented and lovely friend Daniel Steinhardt. You can get in, and if you want, sometimes I want to drive before a compressor. I don't use that signal chain as much these days, but I used to, when I had the BB, I was running that before the Carl Martin compressor, which is a little kind of antithetical to how much people might think about that, having the compression first and the gain. But sometimes things sound a certain way, and you just kind of go with it. So the G3 makes it really easy if I do want to stop. If I want to swap orders. But like when I'm running that Muse driver, as a boost for the AT JHS, I do want it beforehand. It would sound completely ratty the other way around. That was a very short answer to a very deep question, but yeah, I mean, always any time-based things are going to be either at the end of the chain or in the effects loop, meaning any kind of verbs, choruses. I'm not using a verb in pedal form. I do have the Hydra, but that's used as more of a tremolo. And I've got a spiral array chorus. It's a kind of a nice. If I want to get into some of that, don't use it much, but it's there if and I need it.
Speaking of Lukather.
Yeah, for sure, and all those great kind of 80s Andy Summers.
Oh, sorry, you go.
No. Just any of those classic kind of, but usually not always though. Sometimes I use it on a distorted tone, just for kind of a special effecty kind of thing. It's definitely not an on for a whole tune kind of thing for me. Yep. But again, if I just want to color up something a bit, sometimes I might get it real twisty and have it be almost like a fast rotary Leslie thing if you get it just right. The old TC course has a great version of that sound if you just turn everything up all the way. There's a track I did on my second record called Ear Ecstasy 2 called Is This What You Want? And the whole solo was done with the TC on the whole time with everything cranked all the way up. And it's a killer tone. It's a very cool. That's actually one of my favorite choruses. It's just a bit larger and sometimes space, size does matter, Grant.
I've heard.
Somebody saw the recent version of my board and reached out to me on my email and was so sad to see a mini tube screamer. Like, Well, I'll send you. I've got a TS-808 mod. Blah blah blah. But I said, yeah, but this thing sounds good and it's small.
Yeah.
I said, I don't use it that
great.
much. It's like he was so disappointed. I've got an old TS-808. It does sound amazing, but sometimes But ananyway,
I have seen your pedal room. I remember coming over.
It's a little messy.
It looks like a Guitar Center of pedals where you just got, and most of the time it's like 8 or 9 of the same pedal, and you're like, yeah, it's like the switch thing. You're like, I liked how this switch sounded like on the BB, like that kind of stuff. I think that's great.
I mean that when we did the later edition of the AT, the signature BB pedal, they sent me 2 prototypes because we could never quite get back to what my original very early version of that pedal was, and they tried and it was just kind of a magic pedal. And they finally they were trying different paints, they were doing all these things. It was crazy. So they sent me 2 prototypes for that last iteration, and there was one that was clearly, oh, that's the one. That's the sound. You guys did it. What is it? Like, oh, we were so afraid you were going to say that. It's this really shitty switch that will go bad, but it's the sound. So I went for the crappier switch, and it made it. The difference in the openness of the top end was stunning. It wasn't just like, oh, maybe we should go with a more reliable switch. Nope, this thing sounds amazing. So anyway, yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, it's just the things we torture ourselves with, but they do add up. You start adding up all these little things that do make a difference, and look no further than Eric Johnson and what he's gone through to get his tones to the level that they're at. He wasn't fucking around. He took it serious.
Cables, angle of the pedals.
I mean, dude, I've got stories that corroborate all of this, and maybe we should make that another episode.
Yeah, that's a big topic.
It is, and I don't say this flippantly or lightly, but I have so much love and respect for Eric. But yeah, he just went farther and was willing to go the distance more than most people. So, but he would be the first to admit, well, sometimes you also just need to play. You got to balance, you got to temper that. We've been talking for an hour plus, and if you're listening, this is all great, and hopefully it's helping in some ways. But you got to play,
Yeah.
You don't want to spend all your time deep diving into opinions on that ship. It's like, well, you got to play too. Don't forget that component. So it's you're finding that healthy balance of the pursuit, the joy, and the just the pure entertainment and frustration that goes along with it. But make sure you're playing the entire time along with it to make sure that you're holding up your end of the bargain of the sonic equation. Write that down. That was good. What did I just say? I think that made sense. I don't know.
I got it. Message received.
Sonic equation.
Love it.
Hello. That's our new band.
I also think like what you just said, like the joy is also having the joy of watching others perform too, because like,
oh god, yeah,
when you're playing so much, like some people you can get burned out of playing, maybe you don't, I don't know, but like I had the opportunity to go to the Joe Bonamassa concert, which I ran into you and your lovely wife, and and the cool thing is you're friends with all these guys, but there was definitely multiple times that I looked back from where I was sitting at you, and you looked like a little kid in the candy shop watching him play.
Dude,
I was like you were another person. Like you were Andy Timmons is in the crowd watching Joe Bonamassa absolutely rip. And that's me at every show. If I'm going to go to a show, I'm immersed. But seeing Joe now, I've seen Joe now 2 or 3 times in the last couple of years, and I hadn't seen him. I'd heard the recordings, and I say, this guy's a great player, of course. But man, seeing Joe live, and he's also a tone, maestro. It's some of the best tones I've ever heard live. It's so well dialed in, what he's done with his rig in the front of house. And I commented to him after the gig, it's like, there was never a harsh tone. It was all, you went from Esquire and Strats and Les Pauls, and everything was just right. And plus his playing is just off the charts great. And the scope of the show, how the show is paced, and just the variety of stuff that he does, it's really inspiring. But also humbling. And I will say that, so I did the recordings with Josh in LA a couple weeks ago. And I visited Josh and Joe. They were recording at Sunset Sound the day before I was starting my record.
And Josh was like, yeah, Joe can come over Sunday to play if you want him on a track. I'm like, yeah, that sounds great, you know. And then I'm like, oh shit, you know, fucking. And he comes in, and there was a track that we didn't finish for the last record. It was kind of a slow shuffle that Josh wrote called Ray, kind of a Ray Charles groove. And it's slow blues is not my comfort zone, where you might think Joe Bonamassa. So we're trading solos on this tune. It's like his wheel, and it took me about 24 hours to get over the ass whooping that I got. It was so great. I did listen back to one of the tracks. Like, okay, I do sound like me. I'm okay. But man, hearing a guy in his element playing that great, and of course he brings whatever 59 he pulled off the rack that day. He comes in with the Les Paul, plugs into Josh's rig, and it sounded exactly like Joe. But it was very humbling and it was very inspiring. So, you know, after I came up from being depressed, of like, I suck, you know, it was just inspiring. So just, okay, work harder, man, you know. But yeah, that will come out. I know Josh released a little clip on his Instagram. Yeah. But then all the guitar channels picked up on the. I was like, man, okay. But Joe he just killed it. And so yeah, if you haven't seen Joe, man, go see him. He's out on tour a lot this year. And I always say, see the greats, man. Go out and be inspired. Check out the tones and how people are doing stuff. So yeah, I'll never be able to play blues like he and Josh are just such great players. And they're not just blues guys. Obviously, they have a wide spectrum, but their foundation is something that I can keep trying to do. But I'll be okay at it. But I just gotta. With all these things, and I mentioned the sincere feeling I had of I was really kind of bummed for a minute, like, oh fuck, I suck. You got to be careful to realize that, well, I don't have to be Joe Bonamassa, or Eric Johnson, or insert your favorite player. You just have to keep on your path and keep finding the things that you do great, and hopefully there's things that people like about what I do enough that I can just be okay being me. But it took me getting into my 50s before that started to be real. Whereas it was always a case of, being bummed out or hearing people that I would be inspired, but also be, oh man, that self-defeating, deprecating thing that we can get into psychologically. So you got to be careful with that. But I overall have always taken seeing, Steve Vai or Satriani or whoever and taking it home with me going, that's possible. I may not be able to do that, but I can at least be inspired to push myself harder to be a better version of myself, and that's the healthy place to be. That's the real place. And when you turn around and looked at me at that gig, that's what's happening. I'm like, man, this is what a joy to be alive and to witness this great band, and these great musicians,
Yeah, that's awesome.
Lasts a long time,
Well, thank you. This has been a great episode. Great last hour and a half. Grant, anything final before we throw it on over?
Oh, I'm looking forward to forward to hearing Andy do his thing here.
Freebird, here we go.
Freebird.
So let's see why.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching, for listening. We'll throw it over to Andy in just a second, and he'll lead us out with a song.
Yeah, I'm going to do a ballad called "On Your Way, Sweet Soul." It's "Cry for You" used to be one of my most requested songs, and still is. I do love the ballads, but this one's kind of grown in its own way. But It does feature. I mean, we're here talking about gear, so it's going to feature the Muse driver a lot. The main body of the tune is all going to be on the Muse driver. But then when I switch to higher gain, it's the JHS AT with the another Muse driver in germanium mode, just as a boost basically. Awesome. And of course that halo, loud and proud. But here we go. Let me see. I should have a track ready to go here. See if I can get.
Love it.
All right. Punch me in at bar 2. I got a couple of fixes. It was, I was contractually obligated to make a few mistakes so people didn't think it was like a pre-record. So just so you know, those were very purposeful wrong notes.
Hey, I also love the fact that you smile. Like, you don't beat yourself up about it. You just smile into it. So I love it.
What are you gonna do, man? We're live. It's happening. Why not?
I love it.
It's all good. Well, the thing is, it's one of those tunes that I like to play it different every time, and so I put myself out on a ledge, because there's specific melodies in the chorus I stick to, but all the verses, which I can play like I did on the original record, but I go off script all the time now and just kind of play something fresh and in the moment. Sometimes beauty happens, and sometimes you might, that didn't quite work out, but I prefer that. You know what I mean? I like stepping on that edge and just seeing what can happen. It's fun.
I love it. Well, thank you, Andy. Thank you, Grant.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, man.
Thank you for being. We're only 10 minutes away, but I can feel the tone. I can already feel it.
All right.
So
if you step outside, you probably could hear it. My poor neighbors.
Exactly.
Well, so fun. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna, as we say, we're gonna jump back in our Mazda Miata on our way to Town. We're gonna get back in there with our warm coffee and our definitely warm water because this ice is gone.
That looks like
it's gone. But until next time, thank you, Andy.
Yeah,
thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
I do have a board tweak, so I'll see you soon, Brian.
Yes.
Just one little thing.
See you guys.
Oh, see you guys.
All right.